things are worse in terms of inequality, privatization in the UK, obviously. But I think the root problem, which is the inequality and the kind of double penalty, you're poor and you live obviously in worse conditions, in which you will save, as you said, £2 on a system that would prevent fire from spreading so quickly. I think that's happening all over our countries, where and it feeds into the mood for rebellion that we've had in the past few months all across Europe and the US, where the losers of globalization, people who see part of the society benefit from globalization, this is glaring, and as you said, the symbolic dimension of the picture of this burning social flats tower is really incredible, and I think it resonates in France as deeply as it does in the UK.
The only thing in France, I don't know any tower like this, HLM. You know,
it would be out in the banlieue. You wouldn't see it.
Yeah, and there were some like small hotels a couple of years ago, small hotels of 5 floors or something, but very similar to this tragedy, but with much less victims, of course. Now it raises also, as you mentioned, the problem of the double standards and the privatization,
and also
the money.
It isn't actually clear that these people were the victims of globalization. In fact, you could argue that they were the people who were taking advantage of globalization. If you look at the people who were living in the building, there were people from all over the world. There were people from Africa. There was a Syrian refugee.
The first victim is a Syrian refugee.
Yeah, but it's not because you're an Afghan or a Syrian refugee, because the first victim that was named was actually a Syrian student in London. It's not because you come from countries that could be described as victims of globalization that you're not, once you are in the developed world, marginalized in the social spectrum.
You can be marginalized, but the idea is that you're on a track that will eventually take you out of that. Now, if you don't get out of that, that's where we have huge problems. But my impression was that a lot of the people in that building were relatively recent arrivals.